Ati avocado moja ni how much? $3. Hiyo si ni kama so 4. Oh, okay, wacha tu. Ati hizi nyanya zikiwa hivi ni how much? $5. Hiyo ni kama so 6, si ndio? Hebu wacha ikae. That's what I said 10 years ago when I walked into a supermarket with the intention of doing a week's worth of grocery shopping, only to walk out of the store almost empty-handed. Hello everyone, hope you all are well. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's great to have you on again if you are a returning viewer. For the new viewers, my name is Lydia Atandi and I love having discussions on topics I am passionate about. Diaspora Honey and Beestings is the name of the topic we are tackling currently, and under that we discuss the good and not so good parts of living abroad. Under that subject matter, we also talk about the culture shock that is tied to living abroad. So if this is something that is of interest to you, welcome aboard and keep watching. I'll give a bit of background info to the new guys watching. So I was born and raised in Kenya and moved to the US in 2014. So that totals to 10 years of living in the US as we speak. A couple of months ago, I made a quote-unquote icebreaker video on why adjusting to winter was hard. One of the viewers, who also happens to be my friend, was like, hey, why don't you make the icebreaker episodes every now and then? Why don't you make it something that you do every so often? And I said, why not? So this is one of those icebreaker episodes. We have discussed why adjusting to winter was hard. We have talked about loneliness upon arrival abroad. We have expounded on loneliness upon settling abroad. And now we are on a more of a light-hearted topic. I don't want you guys to think that the journey has been all so serious and deep, because it really hasn't. Even though sometimes life did some lifing, there are so many times that I can look back at with laughter, such as what we'll be dissecting today, which is the conversion phase. Now, if you have relocated to a new country, I think you would be lying if you said that you didn't go through a phase of converting the cost of things that you purchased into the currency you're used to. For me, I was converting almost everything into Kenyan shillings, trying to determine whether or not it's worth the buy. I will say also that at that time, I bought very few things, because with the conversion mindset I had, I often arrived at the conclusion that so many things were not worth buying. It was not until I had spent a few months in the US that I accepted the reality that I was in a different country and that the cost of living would inevitably be significantly higher. In my experience, 90% of the things were pricier in the US than they were in Kenya, from food to housing to bills, you name it. However, though my mindset changed and I was more accepting of the new cost of living, there are 3 particular things that I found to be disproportionately costlier than I anticipated. So let's jump into it. The first thing whose cost of living shocked me tremendously, drum rolls, was, guess what? Avocado. As I mentioned earlier, the inflated cost of living cuts across most things and food was not exempted. However, I particularly could not fathom why a single large-sized organic avocado cost $3. Now, just to put things into perspective, $1 was worth around 120 Kenyan shillings at that time, okay? I was used to paying 0 to 40 shillings for an avocado in Kenya. The instances that I paid 0 shillings was when my grandmother lovingly gave me the large, rich avocados from her tree that I back then took for granted. And as an avid avocado lover, this new cost of avocado hurt my feelings so much. It really did. I later came to find out that one of the reasons why avocado was highly priced, and it actually still is because the US has to import them from Mexico. I really have never recovered from this new cost of avocado. It's still one of the things that I painfully convert into Kenyan shillings to this date before I buy it. The second thing whose cost left me bewildered, take a guess, is the cost of braiding hair. I was fairly warned of the pricey nature of hair braiding in the US when I first relocated, but I really wasn't adequately forewarned about how much costlier it actually would be. The first time I wanted to do hair, my sister-in-law said, I know this girl that charges fairly for braids. She charges $60. I really thought she would say, oh, I'm sorry, I meant she charges $20, but there was no correction to that statement. Unfortunately, she was very right about the fact that $60 was actually on the lower end of the spectrum of charging for braids. See, I was used to paying around $8 for that service. It's about 1,000 shillings, and I was under the impression that I would have to part with $20 to $30 to get my hair braided in the US, but clearly I was treated to a rude shock. And if $60 is what's on the lower end for what's charged for braids, I will let you imagine what is charged on average for braids. So I tried to learn how to braid hair so I can save a few coins. Actually, so I can save very many coins, but that was an epic fail. I quickly learned that braiding hair was unfortunately not among my talents. So I congratulated myself for trying, and I moved on swiftly. The third thing that stood out to me due to its exorbitant pricing was healthcare. Now, healthcare in Kenya and in many other places in the world is costly, as we all know. However, the cost of healthcare in the US is on a whole new level. It is ridiculously high. And that is why having health insurance is a non-negotiable. I have a relative who once visited me from Kenya, and during her stay, she once had to make a trip to the emergency room. As fate would have it, her Kenyan insurance did not cover medical costs in the US. So upon being seen by the doctor, it was determined that the symptoms she presented with did not warrant treatment. Can you believe that she received a $4,000 bill from just that one visit with no medical interventions? That was kind of traumatizing to both of us. We got through it finally, but it was not fun. I do not recommend. So there you have it, guys. That's the list I had. That list is definitely not exhaustive, but those are the things whose costs struck me most when I relocated to the US. How about yourself? What were the things whose cost, really shocked you? What's the one or two things whose costs you couldn't wrap your mind around when you relocated to a new country or when you visited a new country? I'm looking forward to reading your encounter from the comment section. As always, thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't yet. That way you can get notified when the next episode is out. This will enable us to have more conversation about life abroad, and we can get to learn more from each other. I wish you a very blessed day, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. Bye for now.